Thanks, Claude. I'll open with I was really proud of our players and the way they competed. We talked about composure and attention to detail. I thought that we kicked butt in the composure department, and we lost the attention to detail battle because we missed a lot of things. Big communication for our guys moving forward is discipline. We talked about it today. Is it a noun or is it a verb? And it's both. And some of our players see it as what they do when they get in trouble, and some of them see it as doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And we didn't do that at a high enough level. Do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. When you turn the tape on, we had a lot of bad discipline eyes, undisciplined decisions, missed blocks, really all over. I mean, you'd think, well, that was just on offense. That's not the case. We had a lot of busts that we didn't see during the game defensively that really could have cost us or haunted us if we'd been exposed on it. So moving forward, we're really concerned about that, and we're working on us. Today is about UAB. I got a lot of respect for their program. I was over there for a lot of years right by it. Bill Clark is a great coach and a close friend. He coached high school football, and I recruited at school for a long time. He got into college coaching. He's been very successful. They've done a tremendous job of recruiting and building talent and winning football games. And I got a lot of respect for their program. They got a really good team. When you watch them on tape, you see it. When teams block punts and are really good on special teams, they're well coached. And our guys will be excited to play these guys, excited because it's at home, and it'll be the first time we've had a home atmosphere like we expect. So looking forward to getting ready for these guys. Yeah, we have the luxury of having some depth. That's probably one of our deepest positions on the team in terms of just sheer scholarship numbers. Not necessarily talent, but just sheer scholarship numbers. We've got a lot of options we can do to move around. Very unfortunate for Tate. I want to say that he's done everything we've asked. He's been such a competitor, and it's going to be a tough 4 or 5 months for him. He's going to work through it. Injuries happen in our game. It's not the same injury as Darnell and Tyke. It's different, but it's still a tough injury. So I'm hoping he gets back, and he'll be back hopefully for spring ball in time to get back to work. But as far as where we go from there, we've got some options. Jamari has played at guard and done it some. We've got Owen Condon. Warren Erickson stepped in, did a tremendous job. Xavier Truss is a guy that can play guard. We feel like Broderick is at tackle, ready to go and ready to play, and we're just going to have to wait and see because Jamari actually took an extended amount of time where we were going to work him at guard. He worked at center while Warren was out, so he did double duty tackle center, and we really wanted to do double duty tackle guard. And now we'll look at it whether it's Jamari at guard, Broderick Xavier at tackle, Xavier at guard. We'll have all we have to do that because if one guy goes down again, it may be a different move. So there's no like, oh, this is what we're going with. I think y'all are always looking for a definitive answer. There is no definitive answer. This is what we're going to look at. We're going to look at Jamari, Xavier, both at guard some. Owen and Warren will continue to play guard, but the fear of having Warren and Cedric in there is they're your two best centers. So you got a higher likelihood of losing one if both are playing, and you can't function without a center. Foot injuries are pretty common in football. I mean, it happens a lot. It's actually been 4 because we've been dealing with Fitz, who's got it as well. But very different injuries. I mean, completely different. So it's been a big study done, and we've looked really hard in the offseason. We had somebody come in and speak to the team about making sure guys wear the right kind of cleats because athletes all want to be fast, and shoes have gotten lighter and lighter, but has nothing to do with Tate's or John's or anybody else's. It's just making sure our guys are wearing the right foot shoe because every company makes a speed cleat and then a bigger cleat, and you got to fit in your weight category. But our guys have done that. So just some of it is circumstance. And a lot of them have been non-contact. So it's not a matter of contact.
Coach, with the luxury of hindsight, the way the offense performed Saturday, how did you feel they performed
Well, I think you have to be careful because the perception is we didn't score a touchdown, right? And we didn't. So, like, we're a very matter of fact judgment. And it's like, okay, well, we didn't score, but why? Why did we not? Okay, you go through the reasons why and you go through each play. And a lot of it was attention to detail. It's not converting on third down, missing a couple explosives. They played us very different than what you would normally say a Clemson team would play. They prepared for speed breaks and shots and fastballs because that's what they had given up. And they did a good job of defending that. But to say that we didn't function or didn't run the ball well, we ran the ball well at times. I mean, anytime you can run the ball down somebody's throat in 4 minutes, it's pretty obvious that they know we had to run the ball there and we were still able to. So we did some really good things offensively. Hey, I'm excited to see what our guys can do, moving forward. And the greatest jump you make is from game 1 to game 2. So we got to find a way to be more explosive, and you can see on tape that it's there. So I'm glad we got the attention of those guys.
Kirby, kind of along those same lines, you talked about a lot of your players before the game that you want to see get out there and play that experience. That game 1 to game 2 thing, you expect more from guys like Ladd and A.D. Mitchell and those guys to have a player. Does the bar get raised for them?
No, there's a standard that's always set here, and we didn't play to the standard on offense or defense in terms of execution. Now, results, you can say the defense did, but in terms of execution, we didn't play to our standard in terms of guys doing their job. I do think in my years of coaching, there's a certain number of times something has to happen for a guy to be able to function and do it right. So we have a play, Brock Bowers misses a block, Arian lines up wrong, AD's in the wrong spot and doesn't block the right guy, and the play's unsuccessful. Well, those 3 players, and you guys probably think of Arian as an experienced vet, and I look at him as really a freshman because this time last year he was rehabbing. So there's 3 players on one key play that all do the wrong thing, and now we have to make sure that doesn't happen again because it happens once. Nervous energy, different things, you miss things. These guys are going to grow and get better, and we're going to develop them from it. But my expectation is they do it from day 1 all the way through. Well, several of those were not targets just for Brock. He was the open guy. Some of that was get the ball out quick against a really good pass rush and not being able to see how long are we going to be able to protect? Are we going to be able to get vertical down the field? What's the easiest way to throw a short pass to the tight end? Who do they probably least expect? Brock Bowers, and so a lot of that is happenstance, but he's certainly a good player, and not every play that he got the other night was designed for him. It just ended up that way because some of those are RPOs, some of those are boots, and there's 2 or 3 options. Well, I think first off, and I don't know this, I actually thought about looking it up, but of the last, we have 26, 29 practices before camp. We had 15 in the spring, so let's roughly say that's 45. I bet you he's practiced out of 45 practices 10 times, 15 times he's been able to practice. So he's missed a lot of time. And he was already a young player last year and grew. So I think for him, he knows that his upside, his best football is in front of him. And he's done everything we've asked in terms of getting well, rehab and pushing himself. But he's not in game shape. He's not in game speed, and we got to improve that. We got to work on it. And he's certainly a very talented football player that we're excited about, and he will help us be explosive. And he just got to practice more. Well, it means a lot for confidence. Okay. Confidence can help. Can overconfidence hurt? Yeah. So there's a line there, right? The experience of the environment is what I value. Win, lose, or draw, the experience of that environment was going to make us better. And that's what I gained from it. Does it give some of the players more confidence? Yeah, it does give them more confidence. It does. But it better not give them overconfidence, because humility is 1 week away. And we're playing a good football team, which I know none of y'all believe me when I say that. I know a good football team, and I know a good conference, and I know a well-coached team when I see one. And watching them on tape, they're very well coached. So I'm not ready to go make Clemson the Notre Dame game of the past, because there's a lot of different scenarios about that. I don't see the link as much as maybe those players do. No disrespect to them. I just don't see that as a link. I see it as it was one game. It's over with. Now we're worried about UAB.
Share some perspective or some light on what JT Daniels was up against as far as Clemson's experience and schemes and what he had to do?
No, I think all the talk about the weapons he has and doesn't have is mute point. Like that's what everybody wants to talk about, and you can make excuses for me, for JT, for Coach Monk, and whatever. Besides the point, we got good football players. Okay, so we got to take the football players we have and be explosive. It doesn't matter who's out there. That's just pity or something. I mean, we gotta be explosive. We got to get better at it. The way they played us, and of what our game plan was to protect JT and get the ball out and have some different protections and do some different things. The game plan was to not get in third and longs. We didn't get in many third and longs. How many sacks did we give up, guys? 1. Go check Clemson's average per game. Okay, so the game plan was to be efficient and being manageable down in distances, get the ball out of JT's hands. I feel like we did a good job of doing that. We didn't do it consistently enough to score points. So we have to do that better to be able to score points. I don't even know. I'll be honest, I don't even know what distribution was. I didn't look at it and go, oh, he got this, this, and this. I looked at it as how did each guy do with each carry? Were we efficient when we had to run the ball? When we had to run the ball, we were very efficient. You know, when we had a chance for 50-50, we had some poor ones. And some of that had to do with we had some very uncharacteristic busts on run plays. Like, why in the world would you block that direction on that play? Some of that was youth. Some of that was anxiety. Some of it was inexperience. Some of it was what Clemson did. But we can play much better up front and therefore be better in the run game. But I'm not really concerned with I want the best players to get the touches, and I want the hot hand to be able to get the touches. Our backs are all capable, and they're also incapable if we don't block the right people.
How's the excitement in the first round game? How big is the discussion to
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it'll play a little more in our favor, because last week was much tougher because there was a split environment. It was, it was just really a tremendous atmosphere. I expect it to be the same way this week, but I think they'll have more confidence being in a familiar place with more of our fans in there. So I'm hoping that cuts down on the I don't know what you call them. I got to come up with a word for them. These unknown arrows that a kid does something 100 times and then he messes it up in the game. And in my experience, it happens. It happens to first round picks. They just do it until they don't do it anymore. Whoa. Attention to detail affecting everyone. Punt return, defense, everyone. Now, you may be asking about offense, but we had attention to detail problems with everything. Yeah, you said it. It's both, right? I mean, it frustrates me because I'm like, golly, we did that. We practiced that. We showed that. Look, how can you see yourself doing it here than not doing it here? But it also excites me because it's not a lack of ability. Some coaches have to go out and coach, and they couldn't do any better than they did. That's not the case with us. We have the ability. Dom or Dom? I think in those kind of games, like the other night, it's great to have guys. They've both played in big games, right? So to have that kind of experience is great. I can't answer. I mean, Dom is really close. He's going against our defense. He's going to scout offense. He's getting closer. It's a confidence factor for him. It's feeling comfortable going out there, knowing what to do. And Kier's the same way, guys. But it's not. It's just not as simple as we're getting him back next Wednesday. It's a feel. And with Kier's injury, it's not a straight line injury. It's a plant and cut injury. And I mean, there's nowhere more at position wise that you have to accelerate plant and cut than DB and wide receiver. And I want to get him back as much as anybody, but he's not yet. And we're going to be patient to make sure they're full and ready to go. First one, they really didn't do anything different. I mean, we always say it's about what we do, not what they do. Everybody wants to make it, oh, man, they had a good second, third quarter. They must have had some new calls. No, they did the exact same defenses, changing them up and mixing them up. It's like pitching. So if you pitch well and you change it up, you're going to strike somebody out every now and then on a pitch that he wasn't expecting. They hit some good calls against things, and we did things to self-inflict wounds during both of those. So there's nothing that I can say. They did great. They played soft zone. They sat back and didn't give us a lot of shot opportunities. It made us execute down the field, which we didn't do at a high enough level. And then the other part you asked about was AD. Yeah, so some of that's dictated. Some of the people misunderstand. I mean, some of that's dictated by look, by favorable matchup, by RPO. So you say, well, you got two PIs targeting more. There were a couple targets that we didn't find the ball, or we were off. We threw him two. And there were incompletions. So there was one that was not a PI that I know was on our sideline that sailed over his head that we didn't find. So we got to be sure we're targeting the right guys, the right amount. I do think he's going to be an explosive player. He's going to be a really good player. But I compare that game for him to Jermaine Burton's Arkansas game, where it was his first game out there, and I thought he did a good job of drawing the PIs he got, but he could have done a lot of other things better. Yeah, I thought he had an elite kick of 50-something yards with a 5-something hang. I mean, that's just people don't do that. 53, 55-1 hang or something. It's like crazy. And he had some really big punts. And then the ones that got down, he actually missed his field zone on a couple of those. And Arian Smith made phenomenal plays. So I want to give Arian some credit. And we come in this room and we sit here and say, okay, Camarda, what is your percentage of downed inside the 20? And our goal is for him to hit like 70%. And since he's been here in his career, he's batting about 75, 80%. And he doesn't do that alone, guys. That ball doesn't stop and not roll in by himself. So he has gunners and people out there that have to, we practice that really hard. And I think Coach Hartley does a great job teaching it. And we were able to down, I guess, 2 or 3 in there. I think that Keely's a really good player that works really hard. I'm excited to see his future. His performance could have been better. Ron's doing good. He's had a tough run. Ron's the hardest worker I've ever met in my life. And he's never not been at this building on any day. He's never not been here 2 days in a row, including spring break and off time. And killing him, I think, to not be here. And his health seems good, and hopefully he'll be back. But I'll be honest with you guys, I'm as concerned as I've ever been, and because we have 3 or 4 guys out with COVID, and we have a couple staff members that have been out with COVID here recently. So for us, we're at our highest spike. And people are talking about vaccination. Well, these are people that are vaccinated. I mean, we're talking about breakthroughs. And so that concerns you, not only for the players on your team that are unvaccinated, that are playing and not playing, because we want everybody to be safe, but it concerns me for the players that are vaccinated that we could lose one. And to see that it's at the highest we've been since fall camp right now. And I think there's this like relief that you guys feel like, oh, well, everything's back to normal. Well, it's really just not for us right now, because we have the most we've had right now in quarantine.
First question, you touched on this a little bit Saturday night, but particularly strong in your second year. You got left feet to the safety screen and your speed with these guys, Christopher Smith, and they all made impacts in that game in the age of the portal. Is this any kind of statement made there about, hey, hang around, you're going to get your chance, sometimes you're going to sit behind the NFL draft pick?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I can't control what other people do. I'd love for y'all to promote that message and tell every young player on our team, look at these guys, look what they've done. But it's what can you do for me now society? What can you do for me right now? You guys, you want something now, right? I want something now. Everybody waits, what can you do for me now? And we're trying to sell a team sport and a team game. And there's no greater example than Chris Smith running down the field with the ball and Brini right beside him, who both played. They didn't play great. They played good. They didn't play great, but they played like they played because they got the experience last year. You know, Brini played the Cincinnati game. He had more confidence because of it. Chris Smith played for Virginia Count. He had more confidence because of it. They also had confidence because they'd done each one of those things a certain number of times. And to everybody's loving of rankings and loving of recruiting out there, I get it. I understand it. I love recruiting too. But you can't just walk in here and be immediately perfect and do everything right. You have to gain experience. And those guys have done that. And they have been behind some good football players. And they did wait their turn and fight and battle. And you know what? They've been contributors on special teams. So that really is the model that it's supposed to be. But in the world we live in now, it's show me playing time or show me the door. And we try to recruit the kids that want to be at Georgia for a long time because it gives you a chance to be successful when they are